Hello. Pinning my, how do I do that? I think it's, yep, that one. Okay. I mute on this one. There we go. Hi. Happy New Year. I've been meaning to demonstrate these, how I shape these on my channel, on my YouTube channel. I thought I'd just go for it, see how it turns out. I don't have my spreadsheet open, and besides, it's on my computer, and my computer is looking at me. There we go. So I can't refer to my spreadsheet. So I'm just going to wing it and see how it goes. I believe this one is a horse. I'll show you what I have been planning. These are pieces of my I think one is a ram and the other is a satyr. There's the satyr there. So I've got the horns that go around the ears. There's the ears. And the difference is that the satyr is part human, part goat, I believe, and the ram is just all one color, and it has a snout. So that there looks like a snout. So these pieces here are for satyrs and rams, and that's what I'd been planning. I set the project aside. All the pieces are hand knit, and the main portion is on my 22 needle Addi. Grab it and show you what I mean by 22 needle Addi. I'm hoping I planned well enough that everything is within arm's reach. This is a circular knitting machine. There's the start needle, and it grabs the yarn through the threader. And I do 16 rows to get the length I need. Each of these are tubes. I'll open one up. I'm not sure what each is, but I've got my, I've done a bunch of YouTube shorts about these guys. This guy here is a Highland Cow. The horn is similar to the one I've made for the satyr, but the satyr one is longer with ridges, kind of spirally ridges. And let's see what's here. There's a lion and an infant and a deer. I changed that nose to red for Riddle. A bunny. So my construction, the needle shaping, it's called needle shaping. I'll show you how opening it. So this is my first broadcast that is both on Facebook and YouTube. Hey. Hi, sis. Happy New Year. So which one shall I open? Maybe that one will be easiest to see on screen. Shove these aside. These are my hand knit pieces here. It looks like I've got pieces of the mane. Yeah. I'll take that apart for the mane. And there's the snout. And the ears. The instructions I wrote for the ears and all these pieces, it's this. Oh, that's the tummy panel. Are all in my spreadsheet. And I don't have it open. With better planning, I would have had that ready to refer to. So this is the bit that I made on my machine. Figure out the top and bottom. I think that's the top. Yeah, that's the bottom there. And what I do first is to close the bottom. This is the where I bound off, where I took it off the machine. I just went into each stitch with the needle just to grab it off and have a strand through so it can be drawn shut. So that's how I do that part there. Just pull it snug. I'm gonna put that in a solo, hang on. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Maybe news layout, there we go. And then I'll move that. There. So once I've pulled that snug, that's the bottom here. I'm going to shape the legs, and there's the legs are double layered. There's no stuffing in them, and I do that by kind of squash folding. I'm not certain that's the right term, but that's what I kind of call it in my head. And here is where the strand comes out. This column of interstitial strands. There's interstitial stitches. And I count over to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I find that interstitial column of stitches. And I go in there and I grab that one, the bottom one. And that's 1. And then I go above where the strand came out. 2. And then I go above where I just got the previous one. 3. So I'm enclosing 5 columns of stitches inside. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And there I've enclosed, you see how it kind of forms a pocket there? That is the inside of the leg. And I begin the shaping of the arm by squashing the inside of the leg and pooching out the paw. And I'm coming out there, so I'll go across to the front side, back side, or other side, I guess, and come out again where the strand comes out. Just to secure the shaping I just did there with my fingers to keep the paw out. And then I am going to go into the stitch I just created, and there inside is the 5 strands I encased. I'm going inside those and coming out in the center here where I drew the bottom shut. So what I've done is I've seamed up one side, shaped the bottom of the hand, and drew my strand down to the center again. That's where I am here. And here I'll show you. There's the seam I did. 1, 2, 3. That's the center. I'll do a seam there once I've got the legs shaped. 1, 2, 3, and then there's the other seam for the other side of the shaping. So I've got 6 stitches between the seams I'm making. So what I need to do is count 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's my starting column. Grab my first interstitial strand, and inside the leg is five columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is my first interstitial. So there. I've got one here and one there. And above the first one, I grab the third. Above the second one, I grab the fourth. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then I go back and I flatten the inside of the leg and pooch out the paw. There we go. And I'm coming out here. I'm going to go on the other side at the exact same spot and come through. So there's that paw done and that seam done. I'm going to go back into the stitch I just created across there. And again, come out in the center at the bottom. There. So now I've got this seam done and that seam done and the paw formed. I'm going to do the center seam for the legs now. I'll show you what the inside looks like. So the seam I did is here and here. And the inside bits will be the stuffing for the legs. So to do my center seam, I need 3 for this leg. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going in there just above the first interstitial. And I'll be going exactly in the center coming out the other side. So I need to count. There's the seam there. 1, 2, 3. And I'm half off there. I need to go by half a stitch. There. and then I go up a stitch and come out in the exact same spot on this side. 1, 2, 3, the second interstitial, and then I go up again by 1, on this side, 1, 2, 3, that's where I come out, and maybe one more. That'll do. And I'm going to kind of backstitch and come up in the center of the inside. So there now. I've got the center all bunched up there, and I'm going to put in a knot. Just grab 2 strands there and wrap my center stitch and just put that. And I'm done shaping the legs. So, having closed the cast on, drawn it shut, I seamed up this way, pinched and stitched the paw shape into place. And on this side, I've done the same. There's a seam here, and I've shaped the paw. And I've done a seam up the middle to differentiate the legs from each other. So I've shaped that much so far. What I'm going to do now is position the strand for the next shaping. And I like to do that. This is the cast on strand here. I like to find the center of the back, this strand here, I call it the back. And I count down to the 4th one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I go into half that stitch there. Okay, I'm doubting myself. Anyway, let's continue from here. I'll say oops if I've done it wrong later. I pull this guy up here, the cast on strand, just so that I can see that first one. 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th. And the next one, 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th. Oh, hey! Happy New Year! Thanks for coming. Happy New Year! I'm just demonstrating my minis, my pocket pals, pocket buddies. Doing some needle shaping for my New Year's. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And I go into the 4th, and I do that all the way, oops, without losing them, of course. There. And I keep going. There's 2 stitches, 4 stitches. 4th one down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 and 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 4. Two more. 4th stitch down, 4th stitch down. So there I've gathered half of each stitch, gone into one side. And I'll do this, finish this shaping once I've got the stuffing in, which is the next step. Just going to close that a bit. This will help me to shape the head and delineate the neck, and then I'll use it to go make a seam down the arms. Time for stuffing. Thank you. This one is going to be a lion. I've got the mane here and ears. And where's the snout? There's the snout there. Actually, I'll grab it. I've got it nearby, and I think it's on the top of my bag. Yeah, it is. This is my lion. Fireworks. Are we at midnight? Happy New Year. 8 more minutes. It is early. I did. These are all, I did let me unfold one of which ones. Maybe that one there. I did the body on my 22 needle Addi. So the body is just a tube. All of them start off as tubes of 16 rows. So I take my tube and I needle shape all the pieces. I'm just getting into the stuffing of the lion now. Put him. Get him on camera. There he is. So for the 156, what time is it here? It is 11:53. Fireworks are starting up in my neighborhood already. So this is how I do the arms next. So I have just like about a thumbprint's worth of stuffing, and I divide it in half as equally as I can get it. That way the arms match each other. The rolling it between my palms helps it to be denser and easier to divide. And then I roll it again. Kind of a hot dog shape this time. That's actually too big. I grabbed a bit there. That's more the size I'm looking for. And remove some of the stuffing. I don't need much stuffing at all. Like that is about twice as much as I need. So around about there. It's not much at all. I think it's about the size of a thumbprint for both. And then I'm going to stick one of the clumps into one arm and lower it into the paw area just to kind of secure it a little bit. And then do the same for the other side. I don't know if you guys can hear the fireworks in my neighborhood. It's shouting now. And there, the arms are in. I'll shape them once I've got the body filled. I won't need much for the body. I measure with about the size of half a palmful, so about there. That might actually be too much. And I also, yeah, the fireworks are loud. I kind of pull, I don't know what you'd call this technique, but it kind of gets all the fibers sort of going the same direction. And that helps me to shape the body more. Maybe I didn't get him. It's been a couple of weeks since I've made one of these, so I kind of make it up as I go along each time. Yeah, maybe that's enough there. So around about 2 thumb spaces here. That's about as much as I shove into the body, and the rest I leave for the head. So I'm not using much stuffing at all. Oh, there they go. I've got my window partially open, so it's going to be okay. So I haven't got much in there. It's very, the thickness of the legs is about the amount I've got in the tummy. Very, very light stuff. So what I'm going to do next is to take the neck strands and kind of get them equal and draw it a bit. The head stuffing may not stay. I'll be shoving it around. Happy New Year! What? I need to get to bed now. Okay. Happy New Year. See ya. So I'm going to start with a knot here and draw that shut over the tummy stuffing. Oh, I shoved it out a bit. Pull that. Keeping it kind of flat and even. Happy New Year. 1 minute to midnight here. The fireworks have gone off. Very loud. I've got earplugs in my headset, so it's kind of muffled for me, but my microphone is probably picking it all up. Okay, once I've got my center knot to hold that, I bring it around to the other side, and I do another knot, but I wrap the knot a couple of times, 3 times actually. And draw that down. I think that might be, hang on, I'll do that again. It should be 3, 3 makes it easy. 1, 2, yeah, it must be midnight, 3. I have car horns and fireworks. Got lots of flashes up that window. Bring on the noise. Happy New Year. I hope everyone is doing well. I wish everybody a happy new year and joy and hope. Everything I need, I hope, comes to you. a new start. I don't know what else to say about New Year's. It's New Year's. Another day. Happy New Year. I'm just going to continue with my buddy here. Oh, where was I? Shaping the neck. I'm going to add more to the head. And wrapping the neck 3 times places this in the right position to seam down the arms. There it is. So here I find the seam here and go up the same column of interstitial stitches, and I go in exactly at the neck. And then I come out on the other side exactly at the neck in the same indicated column of interstitial stitches where the seam is for the leg up the arm. And I come out there and I go in the next stitch down and come up on the other side below the next interstitial stitch, because I'm going to back stitch on this one, which makes it less visible. Draw that shut and then throw in a back stitch and come out again so that I'm seaming down the same interstitial. I come up below the next stitch there so that I can back stitch on this side. So I'm coming below that interstitial and going in above is the same in the stitch I'm after. And then I come in on this side again under the next stitch and back stitch over it and come out on this side and do the same to the next stitch, back stitch over it. And I'm beginning to think that I should have went into the fifth row. I think my head is going to be small and my arms are turning out big. These are kind of, I make them up as I go along. They don't turn out the same each time. So I am reluctant to try to make a pattern of it, because if mine aren't turning out the same each time, then how are they going to turn out the same for anybody else? So once I've done my arm seam, I come up where I made the seam there and I part that there. I'm going to do more with it, but I want to catch up the other side and seam the other arm. I find the leg seam and follow up to the neck and go in right at the neck strand there and come out on this side, and I find that leg seam and I come up and poke out at the exact column of interstitial again, and then I'm going to back stitch these stitches the same as I did the other side, the other arm. There's this interstitial stitch there, I'm going to go over it, but on this side I'm going under the next one. So I'm going below the next one so that I can back stitch by going over it. And then I'm going on this side to back stitch over the next one on this side. Just there. And then I go through again and back stitch over the next one. The back stitching makes the stitches inside the seam less visible. So you're kind of sort of making little X's within that are holding the arm stitches separate from the body, holding the arm stuffing separate from the body stuffing. So that's what I'm up to with these back stitches. Is your neighborhood this noisy? Okay, so there I am, all caught up with the other side. I have to pull it a little bit. There we go. Just to add a bit of shrunkel bunching to this. Pull it snug, and on this side again, pull it snug. Okay, now to remember what to do next. I guess the head. I'll do that. Shove that in. Draw this a little bit more shoving. And with my thumb, I press outward so the stitches shape. So the head shapes and it's not rumpled. A little bit more of this stuff here. Somebody's shouting. I don't know what they're shouting. Pulling my stuffing like this makes it, I find it makes it easier to shape and position within the item I'm stuffing. And I just keep on adding tiny bits of stuffing to the head and pushing it against the sides, rounding the head as I go, and trying to arrange the stitches so that they're not rumpled upon each other, but beside each other. And if I want more stuffing in the tummy, I go into an interstitial here and pull some from the head and draw it down. So I think some of my tummy stuffing migrated into the head with my squishing. There we go, that feels better there. I still have it so that it is the legs and the tummy are the same thickness, and the arms are as well. So he's kind of flat. With the tummy panel and the rest of the shaping, he does end up tubbier, but that's where I start out. And the shaping comes in as we go. It just, everything kind of nudges into place. I don't even have the vocabulary for what I'm trying to do here. I think I need a bit more in the head. Flumpy isn't impressed at all. Is it loud, Pete? You hop up for some comfort? Come sit beside me. Okay, that looks like enough in the head. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put the head strand onto my needle next. And close as I did the bottom. And I'm going to do a neater job of it because it's not going to collapse and be collapsed and seamed. And you see there's a bit of tuft sticking out the hole I just closed. I go in and come up and grab it, drag it under. And in order to get it a tighter close, I go over the first stitch under into the next one, skip one, skip one, skip one until I get back to the other side again. That makes it so that it'll close more snug and more even. I set my fingertip against so that I have something to pull against without deforming it too much. You see how it kind of comes, I don't know if it's visible enough. It kind of comes to a point there and then dents in there, and it's kind of rounded there, and it's kind of all misshapen all around. I poke in and I pry the stuffing into place in order to combat that misshaping. And I do that until the head is rounded as I like. Okay, so I'm going to put a knot in just to hold that. Go a couple more stitches around just for security. Yeah, there we go, that's better. I'm going to do a back stitch into the center. And at this point, I'm going to decide, see the way the neck looks here? Here you can see the center knot and how it kind of parts the back there, the between stitches. And here it looks neater and tidier. So this I'm going to decide is the front. And this is the back. So with my closure thread, I'm going to go to the center of the back. And here is 1, 2, 3, that's the center. Here's the seam, 1, 2, 3, and there we go, the center. And that's the apex of the center seam of the legs. So I'm just going to come out in the interstitial there. And that will become the braid, part of the braid for the tail. I'll show you the tail. Here it's just a braid with a knot and a tuft. So that's what's going to become of that. I'm all done with my stuffing. And set that aside. And then, what do I do next? Okay, this the part that makes the tummy chubbier, the tummy poochier, and the paws downward more. I recapture my. What was this? This was the seam from the neck, and I seamed down to the paw, and I'm coming out here. So I am above the stitch that shaped that bit. So I'm coming out above it. I'm going to go in below it, and I'm going to go directly straight through. And here's the center there. I'm going to capture the top of the leg seam just by feel. If it doesn't get caught, that's fine. And then I'm going to come through the other side just below the stitch that holds the paw shape. And then I'm going to give it a bit of a tug that will draw in the bottom of the paw and pooch out the tummy. And then I'm going to go in above this paw stitch and back across again. And pull gently, and that pooches out the tummy some more. And then I'm going to go in and come out where the tail is going to be. I'm going to skip an interstitial. See how that comes out there? I'm going to go below that so that I have a stitch between where the braid is going to happen. And then I'm going to do the same with this side here, this paw strand. The strand that seamed the arm against the body. So I am above the strand that made the paw. I'm going to go below it. And I'm going to go through the inner top of the leg seam and come out on this side, directly across. That gives more bulk to the legs, and it enhances the center crease of the center seam of the legs, and it draws in the arm against the hip, and it pooches out the tummy. So those are all the things that are going on with this stitch across. I've come out below the stitch for the paw, and I'm just going to imagine that I'm going over it, and then I'm going to go back across where I came from, through the stitch, the seam, the top of the seam of the legs, and out this way here, where I came from, where the stitch was. And then I'm going to go back in and come out where the tail is going to happen. And I'm going to come out where the top strand came. So I now have two strands coming out that one interstitial space and one from the space below. And that is going to become my tail. And I'm going to use this for stability. Good thing I can reach it. It's just a milk bottle. And I'm going to braid the tail. That should be long enough. I'm going to take this one, and I want all the strands to face this direction. So I'm going to bring this up and around to loop. And I want to come down so that it's going the same direction as the other strands. When it becomes a knot. Otherwise, my tail tuft will be I don't know, chaotic. And just for security, I'm going to grab a different strand and go around with it as well. So I have a loop, and I'm coming down the loop and making another knot so that the end of the knot is facing the same direction as the other strands, and it all lies flat. And that'll do. I think my tail is a bit long, but that's okay. And I'm going to trim those, set that aside. I don't think I'll need them, but it's nice to have them handy And I don't know where my, I'll use my needle to fluff, to pull apart the strands. And the more you drag through, the fluffier it'll get. I have an eyebrow eyelash comb, makeup comb of some sort. I'm not a makeup person, so I don't know the word for it, but it's a tiny, toothy comb that I drag through there to fluff it. So now I've got my leg shape enhanced, my paws drawn in, and the tummy pooched out. And I'm ready to embellish. And I think I will start with the, what's this? There's the tummy panel. And I don't have my document in front of me, so I don't have the instructions for this, but the top, it ended in 3 and I drew that through. So I'm going to use that as the top of the tummy, the chest position. So I'm going to attach that just under the chin, under the neckline there. I'm going to go through, this is 3 stitches wide, so I'm going to guesstimate about maybe 3 strands there. Go under about 3 strands. Close enough is close enough. And then I'm going to go through the 3 bound off at the top again. That seems to shape it even at the top. And then I'm going to go through and where shall I go next? Maybe I'll leave it there, and then I'll thread on the bottom of the tummy panel, the cast on edge here, and center it in relation to the legs, and kind of sort of do the same. This strand comes up from the corner there, so I'll go in directly in position and come up on this corner here. In this way, I am pinning down the position so that it is centered at the top, it's centered at the bottom, and then I'm just going to continue to seam. I'll just do a whip stitch on the side here, interstitial and the edge of the tummy panel, and again interstitial and a bit of the tummy panel, just to hold it in place. So when I do that one, it's going to end here. So now that I've met up with that one, I'm just going to come up where that one is going to end up, which is this corner here. And come up just under where the panel meets it there. I think that'll do. And then I'll put this strand back onto my needle from the top of the chest panel and whip stitch it on in place. Using the between strand at the sides of the stitches. It looks tidier, neater. Here we go, I'm all the way around now. And I've met the other, so I'm going to just do a knot. It doesn't have to be real secure. It's not going to be a support structure, so it's fine. I'm just going to disappear the ends. end and the other end, and I'm done with the tummy panel. I'm going to press, draw, pull, snip, and then those vanish. And that's that for that. And I did make a very long tail. So it now has a tummy panel. And I think what I'll do next is the, let's see, appears to be an ear. And that's an ear. I'll do the nose. I'm going to thread both the nose strands on. So I've got the cheeks and the nose. Cheeks and the nose. And I've put both strands of the nose onto my needle. And I'm going to find the center here, lining up with the legs and the top of the tummy panel. And that's the center here. And across the face here is the center. And that is where my eyes are going to go, so right at the center. So just slightly below that is where I want the nose. And once again, close enough is close enough. And that's just going to kind of line you up. And these ends here for the cheeks, that's going to be the seaming and holding and knotting. I get that onto my needle. And then where this comes on the cheek, that's where I go in on the face. So it's here and it lines up to the face there. So I'm just going to go there. And then I'm going to come up maybe, okay, looks like 2 stitches over on the face. And then I'm going to grab a bit of the snout from kind of behind beneath. And 1 stitch is enough. And I'll go in at the same place I came up on the face and go 2 stitches over once again. And then I'll come through one of the stitches just kind of to the back of the snout pieces here. Just enough to be out of sight. There we go, I got it. And then back into the face again. And up on the other side of the nose. Into the same place on the face, come up 2 stitches over. On the other side of the nose. There we go, and I grab one tiny stitch at the back of the snout-ish, the back-ish side. Oh, I can't. There we go, got one. And then back into the face where that lines up, and under 2 strands. And then back into the snout again. And into the face in the same position, come out on the side here, and I will stop there. And I'll do the same with the other strand to go along the other side of the face. Well, I guess I could continue with this strand, but it's just habit to start with the other one. So I'll do that. Thread the other strand onto the needle, and then go into the face where that lines up, which is right there, and come up around about 2 stitches away on the face, and grab 1 stitch from kind of the underside back of the snout-ish. Any one will do, and then grab 2 more from the face, under that one, under that one. Okay, that looks like 3 stitches, but that's fine. And then I'm going to go into the snout again and into the head, come out just a bit farther over than I was. Grab another face stitch. This is very inexact. Wherever you end up grabbing a stitch, that's where you grab a stitch. It won't be scrutinized too much. And there I am back at the start of where the other stitch began, or the strand began. And what I'm going to do is go to the back and come out an interstitial space there, not in a strand, but between the strands in an open space. And I'm going to do the same with the other side. In and come out exactly exact where the other strand came. If I tug this to the side, I can see where the space is where it came out. I'm going to put a knot there. That's why I want to be in the same place. I don't want it to pin down the fabric. I want the knot to be hidden within. So I make a knot in that position there. One knot and another knot that's tighter. And the strands of the face are holding the nose in place well enough that the nose doesn't need to be knotted. So I'm going to chop off all my strands there. I'm done with those. And I'm going to use the eye of my needle to shove and dig my stuffing so that it's above the over the strands, and the strand ends are hidden inside. Those are disappeared. So now I've got my tummy panel, my snout. I think I'll do my ears next. The ears, I took a double pointed needle and I used 2 strands. And I, what do you call it, long tail cast on the usual way, so that I have the stitches on my double pointed needle. And I believe it was, well, maybe I can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 11 stitches, I'm not sure. 9 stitches, 11 stitches, anyway. I cast them on and then I just did a draw through. So the ear is a row of cast on that's drawn through to bind off. So you have a closure like this in the center of the ear, but it's just a cast on that's bound off, gathered. So I like to put the ear, the position I find for the ear is the center of the arm. So the seam here, the center of the arm, and there, that's where my ear goes. Just a little to the side of the center closure. So I've got heel on either side. And I decide which side is the front. I think that's the front. And this one is the kind of the lower strand. I'm going to thread that onto my needle. There's a whole lot of needle threading, so it's easier to do if you've got a needle that threads easily. So here's the center, there's the center of my arm, there's the center, and there's there, so that's where my ear is going. I'm going to go in there. And I'm going to come out on an interstitial here because I'm just going to knot these ends. I'll use the other, a different strand for the seaming. And I'm going to do this position, this ear. So there's the back of the ear with the pearl bumps, and there's the front with the smoother ones. And that's going here. This is the lower strand, so that's the one I'm going to thread on. Making these is a whole lot of fiddly work. And here we have the center. That's where the ear is going. And there's the center of the closure. And I'm that distance from with that one, and I'm equal on that side. Or close enough. Close enough is close enough. With the seaming stitches, I will be able to adjust the position. So I'm just going to put a knot and sink that in, and then make another knot and tighten it up and snip that off. Done with that bit. Use the eye of my needle to shove and draw my stuffing over my shove. There we go. The ears are positioned. And now to take the lower strand of the other corner of the ear. I've done the inner corners. Now I'm going to anchor the outer corners. And I'm going to do it in the same fashion. Take a sip of my tea. So I find the center again. There's the seam in the middle of the arm, and the ear is going here. And the strand coming from the ear lines up there, so I need to scooch up a bit. So I'm going there. There we go. That lines up with the ear. And I'm going to come out again in the interstitial, somewhere in the back. And then do the other side, the other corner of that ear. That's the lower strand, so I'm going to thread that onto my needle. And find the center seam here, and the center of the arm. That'll kind of give me an ability to eyeball where that is going. So it lines up there, so I'm going there. There we go. And then I'm coming up in the same interstitial so that I can make a knot. I can sink a knot there. There's one knot, sink that into the body. And then another knot to snug. And then I can snip that and be done with those strands. Shove this with the eye of my needle and pull the body fluff. There we go. So now I've got my ears in position and secured with knots, and I'm just going to use what's left here with the seam, the strands, to throw in a few more security stitches. Take off my bifocals and get serious here. Okay, so this strand here went in there. I'm going to skip a stitch and go in beside that. Just for security's sake, I'm going to come up. Okay, for securing the ears, I'm going to go across to the other ear with this ear strand, the outer ear strand, and come up just outside of center here. So there's that strand there, and then I'm going to go through the ear, the lower ear stitches. And because I've pulled the closure, the cast off tight on the ear, it's going to be a bit of a fight. There, so I'm through there. And now I'm going to go down into the head where it lines up and out the back so that I can knot that. and I'm just going to leave it. And this one here is the one I'm doing next. The anchoring strand goes in right there. So I'm going to skip a strand and go beside and come up across at the bottom edge of the other ear, just to the side of the center of the ear. So that's the outer ear strand. And then I'm going to go through the bottom of the ear just to the side of the center again. And oops, my strand is short. And then I'm going to go into the ear into the head where the strand lines up from the ear and come out in the interstitial the previous strand has emerged from. Pull it a bit here. There we go. So I'm done with that, and I've got two more. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. The strands are a bit short here. The previous stitch goes down there, so I'm going to go over by one strand, so I'm not going the same place, and I'm going to come up in front of the ear here. I did the outer, I anchored the outer of the ear, so I'm going to anchor the inner of the ear with these strands. So I'm going through just to the other side of the center of the ear. And then down where it lines up. And I'm coming up in an interstitial. Let's choose that. Doesn't matter where. And then I'll repeat the process with this one. The previous strand goes in there, so I'll skip a position and go in there, and then come out by the other ear so that I can secure. You can see that that strand goes there, and there's the center, and I'll come up just in front of the opposite position, the inner area of the ear. Get that. There we go. And I'm going to go through the ear and attach it to the head. Lines up there, so I'll go there. And here I have two strands, and here I have one, so I need to join up with that one. Come out in the same interstitial space. And then I make my knots. Make one knot, sink it in gently, make another knot, tighten it firm, and snip, and repeat with the other ears here, the ear strands. Sink that one, snug that one, snip, and use the eye of my needle. It's wider, this one will just pierce, right? That'll just kind of go around and poke you around, but the eye of the needle, you can grasp it and shove it under, sink it in, and grab the stuffing, fluff it up around, shove it in, fluff around, shove and fluff, shove and fluff, until you can't see the end anymore. Don't forget, it's not going to be scrutinized, not much anyway. There. Good enough is good enough. And next I've got the mane, but I'm going to do the eyes first. Let me grab my black here. And let's see. About that for eyes. We're just making 2 French knots. So here I folded it. I've got the center here, and just slightly to the side of the center, I'm going to make a knot that I've gone through twice. 1, 2. So you've got 2 wraps on that knot. And I'm going to shape it so that it's round. And then this is the long side. Either side will do, but I'm going with the long side. And there's the center, and there's the center. So that's where the eyes, that will show you where the eyes go. So halfway on the cheek here, I'm going to go in, and then I'm going to come up halfway over the cheek there. There'll be a bit of a scooch because the threads that have gone inside have made the head denser. And I'm going to draw it through until the knot that I made meets the face. And I'm going to snug it just slightly so that the knot just slightly sinks in, not much because I'm retrieving that. You see, it's tightly against, and I just snug it a bit. I'm not losing it, it's just tightly against. And then I set the side of my needle against the bottom of my strand here, and I hold it firm and wrap twice. 1, 2. And I put my fingernail against and join it with another fingernail at the table to brace it and scooch. Fingers crossed this works. There. So now I have 2 French knots. And it looks like, let's see, that French knot, if I draw it in there, this one, I got a bit loose there. Oh well. They don't quite match, but that doesn't bother me. Like I said, it's not going to be scrutinized all that much. So if I put this, if I sink this end, yeah, I'm going to sink the end. I'm going to skip that stitch there and sink this end in there. Just, this is my effort to get the eyes a bit more even. There. And then I take that off. And in order to match it, the tilt, I came out here and I went in there. And this one, in order to match, it looks like I can go in there. So I'm skipping a stitch there and going in and coming out the same interstitial, so I can sink a knot. Okay, I went a bit low on that one, but it matches well enough, so I'm just going to leave that. To make a knot and gently sink it there. It's in under, and then I'm going to make another knot. These are single knots, and snug it and snip. Sink, snug, snip. And I'm going to draw the poke and pluck and push. Stretch. There we go. It has vanished. And now for the last aspect, I've done a video on hair attachment, and I don't actually know if I have enough here, but I'm going to make do. What I've done is I've made X's with the knot in the center. I've tied one strand onto the other and then knotted the other around the knot that I made. And what I'm going to do is here, I've got the main beginning just in front of the shoulder at the neckline. So my first strand is going to come out there, here, above the neckline in front of the shoulder. And I'm going to have my knots all sunk in the back. So I'll start here in the interstitial and come out where I intend, just in front of the shoulder there, with one strand. Oh, my fireworks are still going here. Up to the knot. And then I'll grab another strand and go into the exact interstitial. I don't want a strand between because I want to sink that knot. And I'm going to mirror that position here, just in front of the shoulder above the neck strand. Grab one more of my, thread that on, and pull it. I can begin to sink the knot by tugging. And then I take another, go into the exact same place where the knot is going to sink, and come up right beside and make my main. I'm going to slant this way and go across the top and slant back down to the other. And that's how I'm getting my main on. On these ones, you can go into half stitches, like you can go right into the thread, into the strand. That'll hold the position better. So there, that sinks the knot. And I've got part of my main going on here. And get the next one. Hopefully I have enough. Maybe I'll start at the top just to kind of even it, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. So I'll pick a spot. Maybe here. I'll go there. Into an interstitial space and come up in front of between the ears. I'll do 4 there. This, the position, the coming out here of the strand, the position isn't important. The important position is to get in the same interstitial here so you're not grabbing a strand. So in front of that ear, I'll do in front of this ear, grab a strand. And begin sinking the knot just by gently tugging. And we'll go, let's make those equidistant. No, I'll go here. That's easy to come up there. I don't know when they'll run out of fireworks here. Go back into my interstitial, grab the next one, pull it through round about there. There. I tug those gently, tug, 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 it will sink my hair strand knot. And I repeat with all the rest, just going along the this one I will go here above that. And above on the other opposite side. Close enough, it's close enough. Thread that one on, through, and I guess with this one I'll go in the same place, just above where I just went. So I'm coming through there, and then I will go into my interstitial again and come out. I just came out there, I'll do the same on this side. There we go, close enough, it's close enough. This is going to be fluffed, so it doesn't have to be exact. Some tugs to sink my knot here. There we go, that vanishes. These aren't exact. If you look closely, this one is a bit farther back and it's not exactly in line, but once it's fluffed, you can't tell. So there's no urgency and exactness here. Thread that one on, and let's see. Let's do 2 in the middle and 2 just above. And go here. No, I'll go here, down at the very top of the stitch, next stitch. And I'll come up exactly, what do you call it? Equidistant. That one. And then beside it, close enough. There we go. And then my next one I've decided will go directly above the side ones. I was worried I wouldn't have enough mane hairs, but it looks like I might have more than enough. So I did that side, and now I'm doing this side. Okay. Go fill in this side here. And I'll fill in that side there. And just about. And just above. Looks like I need one more strain set. And I have two sets, so I have one extra. And I have a gap in front of this ear above and again here midway on this one. So I'll stick two there and stick two on the other side, and it looks like I am filled in. It's starting to get really dense on the inside of the head because of all the strands going through in all directions. And that was the last one. Those are all secure. And I think I remember where my little eyebrow comb is. So let's see if I can do that. Give me a second. I found it. So with the eyebrow, I guess it's an eyelash comb. It's from the makeup section anyway. I just comb and it fluffs. To start this, I'm going to separate the, what do you call that? The twist. There's 4 strands in the twist, so I'm going to take apart the twist on each one. That way I'm not straining the ear. Bend the ear back a bit. There we go. That way I'm not straining the teeth of the makeup comb. these strands are short, so even if they aren't fully untwisted, it won't be too much of a strain on the little metal teeth. I have another, I guess it's an eyebrow. I don't know. The makeup comb. I don't have a word for it. I had a plastic one and I tore the teeth out. Even with short strands like this, I had to untwist thoroughly. But these ones are metal, so they stand up a bit better. So I place my finger so I have somewhere to, so I'm not catching the head strands, the body strands. And I can press against my finger and pull. With the ear so I don't snag. Oops, I snagged the cheek. Look at that. I wasn't careful. Okay, I'll put my finger against there. Press the arm out of the way. Press the ear out of the way. I snagged the hair. Head strand there. It'll be fine now. Okay, so there's the strand I snagged. I tore it up a bit. I'm just going to smooth it down with the eye of my needle and press it in. Smooth and press. Kind of sort of similar to what I did with the all the knots that I sunk and snugged and snipped. So there we go to me. A little bit of tidying up and we have a lion. There we go, close enough is close enough. So there's my completed lion. Off screen I can do it tidier because I can hold it right up to my face and not have to worry about remaining on camera. And I usually do and redo the tail. I just did that the once just to get it done and not take up too much screen time just doing a braid. So that's my line. My glasses back on. So that's what I wanted to do with my new year, and that's what I did. Happy New Year, everyone. Press like, comment, share, do what needs to be done to help me out here. I'd appreciate some feedback. Let me get myself on screen here. Oh, me. There I am. I'd appreciate feedback on my instructions, on my everything. Anything you can tell me to help me to improve. Comment. I am here on my Facebook page, on my personal Facebook, and on YouTube. So comment anywhere where I've posted this video. So I'd like to do more of these and do them, I don't know, effectively. And giving me feedback will let me know that it's going over well and you'd like to see another one done. I've got about, I don't know, 39 or 40, maybe 49 of these. Let me show you my tabletop again. Hang on. Use layout. Yeah, okay. So this one is, there's a hat from the, it's an army guy. And this one, I believe, is yeah, that's an oud. This one, I believe, is a Highland cow. And this one is a koala. There's the ear. This one, that might be Frank Rabbit, I think, judging by the ears. I'm guessing that's a lamb. That looks like a lamb ear. And this one, I don't know what that one is. I'd have to unravel it to see the pieces. Oh, here we go. Is that the koala I put down, or do I have two koalas here? I have two koalas here. And this one is probably, yeah, that's Thulu. So I've got a whole stack of these ready to be done. And I'd appreciate comments from people who would like to see more of these and some feedback on how I can more effectively present my tutorial, demonstration, whatever you call this. I'm very reluctant to do patterns for these because I kind of make it up as I go along and they don't turn out the same. You see the cheeks here are puffier and these ones are wider, and the nose here is smaller and lower. That one's larger and forward more. And the dome of the face here is different. This one's flatter and the eyes are wider apart. And they're not the same. They're just, I can't get them the same. And if I wrote a pattern, I'm certain people will not get them the same. So it just kind of, that for me, I don't want to do a pattern. But I would like to do more demos. Let me know if this has actually interested anybody or if I'm just taking up airspace. But I've got a bunch that I can demo. And maybe people can start doing their own and figuring out their own success methods for these. I love them. They're cute. So Happy New Year. Thank you for peeking in on me and wishing me a Happy New Year. And I hope everything goes well in the days to come. And I'm going to sign off now and bye. Oh, I guess I need to press the button. There.